Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CS Cyber. I'm Chad.
I'm Sean.
And today we're continuing our discussion on water, our series called Aqua Guardian. So today we're talking about the cyber rules that actually apply to water and wastewater.
Or we'll say the lack of cyber rules.
Yeah, right. But this is what you should be following, what actually applies to you, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I'd say probably one of the first... Something just came apart in the studio. I hope that wasn't important.
It's all right. It's still hanging on. Let's go.
Yeah, it looks like we're still recording. So here's what you need to know. Basically, you've got a few things from a water and wastewater perspective. I just had a meeting with somebody yesterday, and they were like, well, what are the rules? And I'm like, they're more like strong. I strongly encourage you to do these things.
Yeah.
So it's basically based off a couple of things. One is the America's Water and Infrastructure Act, AWIA. Most people know that. From 2013, it requires risk and resilience assessments and emergency response plans. Now, back then, these weren't necessarily cybersecurity things, right? So the RRAs and the ERPs, the risk and resilience assessments and the emergency response plans do not necessarily coincide with cyber needs.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
So, we had talked about the convergence of IT and OT.
Yeah.
And that the lack of synergies there. So I would say a lot of these acronyms, most IT people have probably never heard of, unless they've been exposed to water or wastewater.
No, these are mostly, I would consider these most EPA or in Ohio EPA regulations. And they're only needed every 5 years. So actually, coincidentally, we're in that cycle right now in Ohio.
Okay.
So we're within the 5 years, and all of the water and wastewater entities in Ohio, which I believe are over 4,000 of them, have to file these this year.
Oh, they all do them at once?
Well, I mean, not at the exact same time,
right? But all in the same cycle.
Yes. So if they serve more than 3,300 people, they have to do this.
Okay.
Under 3,300, it's a little bit different. So,
right. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. I wanted to get back to what you're talking about. So these you said weren't initially cyber related, right? So maybe talk a little bit about that and what all these do encompass. I mean, it's physical, it's weather, it's all the emergencies.
Yeah, it's basically all the things that require you as a water and wastewater operator to operate your plant, right? So when it talks about risk and resilience assessments, it's not what we think. It's water and wastewater specific. I'm not an operator, so I don't know exactly what those things would be, right? Maybe a flood. Maybe you're close to a river basin, so a flood impacting your plant, or maybe a well, right? Yeah. Might be something that shows up in risk and resilience. And then more specifically, and we've talked about it a tad, is on the emergency response plan piece, maybe like actually training to operate your plant manually. Now, we have specifically seen the need for increased training to teach operators how to operate a plant manually. And the reason, and this has really escalated over the last year or two, and the reason is we've discovered, and the EPA has discovered, that not a lot of people know how to do that. So why manual mode? Because when it goes really bad and those digital screens are not available and the SCADA system is not available to throw a relay or change a pump or increase dosage or do whatever, you're in manual. Okay. And who knows how to do it. So we've got those two things. And then cybersecurity has begun to be called out in some of those areas. And then the EPA has their VSAT tool, which is available on the EPA's website to help you go through the cyber risk steps or questionnaire. Mm-hmm. And CISA has made a lot of resources available. There's NIST frameworks that are out there, like 883 that talks about operational technology cybersecurity. Yeah. 861 talks about incident response. But there's no actual EPA rules and regs, right, that say you have to do these things. And that's the problem.
Right. And the EPA tried that. Right. I mean, they tried to put rules in place, and
they did.
Didn't really work out.
It didn't. So a lot of the rural operators sued, and like the National Rural Water Association also sued on behalf of the rural operators, because it really impacts them. Like, these are mandates, and nobody likes unfunded federal mandates, right?
Right.
And the water and wastewater industry are plagued. I'm just going to go off on a little tangent real quick of why. So the water and wastewater industry is plagued right now with an issue of how do we deal with this? And really the only way that they can deal with it is rate hikes. And that's taboo, really. Nobody really wants to discuss that. There's too many surveys that go around where communities are touting that they're the lowest on the rate schedule, right? Come over here, right? Okay. Well, lowest in these days, lowest may not necessarily mean the best water, right?
Right.
So if you're
right out of the ground to your house,
if you're playing, hopefully it's not that, but if you're paying for the cheapest water, maybe that also means that your town hasn't invested in cybersecurity. So, but that's an education issue. So now we have to educate the public on things like PFAS, right? So that's a new regulation that is coming that organizations have to deal with. And cybersecurity is no different. Just insert cybersecurity instead of PFAS. If PFAS wasn't out there, PFAS is that process where the contaminated water from like the substances that go off at like hangars that douse flames. So if an aircraft, okay, so those chemicals and there's other applications like around military bases and stuff contain PFAS, and there are regulations now that are requiring water utilities to filter specifically and make upgrades and enhancements to filter out PFAS, right? So those are mandates.
Right.
But cybersecurity,
that's in the chemistry.
It is in the chemistry, right? So, but the cybersecurity has not become something where it's been forced upon. But I think it's coming in some form. I saw somebody on LinkedIn post about a House bill recently where something is trying to happen.
Right. Well, I think it's coming in a lot of different ways, right? It's coming for water. It's coming in local government. I mean,
yeah, it is.
Those things, like we see those across communities, whether you have a community that has water or not, right? I mean, the problems with funding and things like that are the same. So.
Right. Well, nobody wants the label of the soft underbelly, right? And typically when we talk about local government and cyber, that's what we say. We say, well, they're the soft underbelly of the cybersecurity ecosystem, right? They're organizations that have money and they don't have a lot of cyber. Not all of them. I mean, some of them are good, right? But the vast majority of organizations don't have the right talent. They don't have the right cybersecurity in place. Budgets are put in different areas. There's no emphasis on IT and cyber. And then they all carry insurance policies, and they all have money in general funds. So lots and lots and lots of money flow through a local government.
Yeah.
So what do regulators want to see typically?
A completed risk assessment, right? I mean, you're at least looking at your stuff.
Start there.
An incident response plan.
Right. And just wanted to point out that IR plan is not the same as if you're a local government and you've got water and wastewater. That is not the city's incident response plan. The city has an incident response plan, and then water has one.
Right.
They're different.
Agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I know. I wasn't trying to convince you.
You were looking at me like...
Yeah, you were like, I got it, man.
And then we see this a lot. I mean, all these water facilities are disconnected from the internet. You can't get to them unless you walk in the facility. I'm just joking.
Which ones have you seen?
That's what regulators want to see. That's what everyone tells us.
Right.
But it's policies on remote access.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, right? I mean, these plants are becoming more automated. They're becoming more dependent on the SCADA software and the remote access and being able to work, right? So having a solid remote solution is, imperative, right?
Right. And honestly, I know this seems overwhelming, right? And every time we talk about risk and resilience and we talk about audits and all this stuff, people are like, man, I don't even. Take a deep breath, because if you just go on some of the high level stuff right now, like just look at remote access, backups, and a couple other things, you're fine, right? Not meaning you're done, but those are some of the big ones, especially remote access. looking at how your plant is accessed remotely is something like one of the number one things that you can look at.
Yeah. All right. Got anything else for this episode?
No, I just want to encourage people. There is good news. The good news is you don't have to do it alone, right? There's organizations like us that are around. There's not a lot of organizations like us. That landscape is thinner than like the IT and cybersecurity landscape, which is completely saturated.
Right.
So there are free tools and checklists. If you're in Ohio, check out the Ohio EPA site. If you're national, check out the national EPA website. Check the CISA website as well. There are a lot of free tools and checklists. So next episode, we're going to talk about acronyms like SCADA and PLCs and all those types of things, and just kind of walk people through. We've talked about the word HMI a lot, right? Human machine interface. So we're going to talk about that in the next episode and just kind of start bringing people up to speed with all the word salad, acronym salad.
Yeah. So if you're an IT guy, check that one out.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to check that one out.
So, all right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
See you next time.